Hey folks, AJ the CEO here, and as we're doing bigger and bigger installs, we're starting to get some more equipment, especially when a ministry has come from a place and they're building a new place and they know exactly the type of hardware that they want. And that is this situation. So instead of going with a television studio HD or ATEM Mini or ATEM SDI, we have finally got a chance to get our hands on the ATEM 2ME Constellation HD. This, I honestly have never worked with any of the Black Magics higher than the Television Studio HD, so this is going to be a treat. Let's go ahead and open this up. It literally just came in today, about 5 minutes ago. So let's go ahead and see what's inside here. And I got to add to my sticker collection here. This is going to be the main video switcher for the TCF install that we've been doing for a while. You haven't seen any videos there because I have been doing some stuff. They're closing up the walls and all this other stuff. I have been up there and pretty much put the racks in place, and I was going to put this there, but this literally just came here and the electrical is not there. So we'll be going back up there maybe Sunday or the first week of April. But anyway, ooh, we get two stickers. So I add that to my collection. We normally get our regular manual here. They used to actually include a SD, excuse me, an SD card with DaVinci Resolve, but I guess there's no need to do that anymore. All right, let's go ahead and open this up. And it still does not come with a power supply, which is very interesting. Wonder what that is. So we got the Constellation, well, ATEM 2ME Constellation. We have 20 inputs, which is awesome. We have our microphone, and it's like the 5 prong. So I think the Bose headset that I did a long time ago for TalkBack will actually work with this, I believe. I still got it in the garage. But we have a bunch of buttons. We have our cut and auto. We have a bunch of two DSK mixes, key mixes, fade to black, media player 1 and 2, all the regular buttons that you would normally have with a screen here and your toggle. But the unique thing about this is, and if we zoom in a little bit, there are I locked the joystick, lock the camera. There are no HDMI inputs on here. It's nothing but SDI here. Let's get into autofocus. There we go. So we have our USB in. I don't recall what that is. There's no live streaming built into this as well. So I think the USB is going to send the video out, but this does not do live streaming like the ATEM Mini. So we're either going to have a streaming PC with this installed or a web presenter. This is also not 4K. This is a 1080p switcher. They do have one that's 4K, but it almost doubles, if not triples the price. So we have two Ethernets. One is for TalkBack, while the other one is for control. That's your regular network. We have 20 SDI inputs, so 20 devices can be connected to this. And instead of having to use a video hub, we actually have a total of 12 addressable outputs. So each one of these can individually go to different items. So the ATEM SDI Extreme gives you 4 addressable outs. This one gives you 12. We also have 2 analog inputs for audio for channels 1 and 2, so a 1/4-inch cable. And we have 2 multi-view outs. So the one thing I will note that they still have not addressed, which I still do not like, is it does not come with a plug at all. And let me wait for the fire truck to go by. It still does not come with a power plug. So thankfully, I have a bunch of those left over just from regular computer stuff. So all of the cameras that I'm using right now actually have an SDI input. So what I'm going to do is I'm actually going to connect all of these here, and come on now. I already made cables to all of the cameras. The camera here, the PTZ Optics, and the Famaka over here. And with this install, I have a bunch of SDI to HDMI adapters, and I have some other ones as well too. So we're going to be using that so that we can see an image here. So let's go ahead and connect these one. And I don't know which one is which. We just want to have some type of input. Now, I will most likely send this into my capture card for the multi-view because I don't have an SD. Oh no, I do have an SDI to HDMI. AJ, you just said that. I'm tripping. So I got a whole bunch of SDI to HDMI converters. These are for all the TVs that are going to be there at the ministry. And this just happened to be a leftover power plug that I had. Let's go ahead and get it hooked up to our network as well too. And I did have my up down cross HD that I used in what ministry was that? St. Matthew's. Yeah. So that'll be what I'll use to hook my computer up here if need be. So we're going to connect that. Ultimately, I should have another USB cable. I'm going to hook that up to here to see what we get from this as well too. So let me hook up. I need to get a long USB-C cable to hook this up to my computer. Let's power this up and then let's see what it looks like on the computer. Alrighty, so we're here on the desktop. Let's go ahead and check this out. Let's come over here and let's first open up our ATEM Control Software first. And this is my regular ATEM. Let's go to our connections and let's see. And there it goes. Let's go ahead and go to our setup first. And of course, it brought it over to this other monitor. And there we go. Let's go here into our settings here. And let's see what options we got. All right, so the version that we're at, we can always change our name. We have DHCP, so it's pulling an IP address. Allow utility administration. This is different. Normally, you have to connect over USB only, but this one is given an option over USB and Ethernet. I'm actually going to select that. And it looks like those are the only options you got. And I am connected to both. Let's go back in here again and see, do we have any more options available? And no, that is it. Okay, interesting. All right, let's go ahead now and connect to it. And boom. So, no, that's not it. Come on, AJ. That's the one we're connecting. Normally, when you press the button, it'll jump there. So the 2ME, we have two sets of switches on here from our functionality. So let's go through the interface. I mean, pretty much the exact same, but you just got double for your trouble when it comes to all of your switching. So I have two sets of things that I can switch, which is pretty cool for your mix effects and everything like that. Let's go through here. Your key generators, that's the same as usual. Your super source, you got that. That's awesome. That's also embedded in here. You got your media player. You can pick from all 20 inputs. Well, that's awesome there. You still only are limited to 4 items inside of here. So it's not like they upped it to 8 or anything like that. Your upstream key, we still have that. Now, because it is a 2ME, 2 switchers, pretty much, you have double the amounts. So you have a total of 8 upstream keys, unless I am mistaken. Yeah, so you do have a set of those. All right. And your transition still got the same. You got your stingers, your DVEs, your wipes, your dip, mix, everything the same thing that you normally would have. Your downstream keys, you have those as well too. And I believe that is 4 of those. I believe, because that's 1 and 2, or maybe it's just 2. I have to go back in there and play around with it some more. We got our fade to black. Now, if we go to media, we got our stills. We can connect to our hyperdeck, And again, as I said, this does not have live streaming functionality. So for the output, there is no live streaming. So you're going to have to get one of those outputs to go to a capture card or USB if that works. We're going to find that out pretty soon. But you can still capture it still. You got your time generator and you have your counter. So you can actually output this to a display. I don't believe I can do that on the regular ATEM. I have to make a note to go back and check that. All right, that's under that tab. Let's go to media. And we got this here. Now, one of the beautiful things with the MEs, instead of just having stills, you actually can have a sequence of videos, of images that would do some animation. I'm gonna play around with that, and I believe you can add video clips here, 2 of them, awesome as well too. So that's cool. So you got all the same functionality. I can drag and drop and all this other cool stuff. Audio, every single input you can actually have audio on, which is very, very interesting. And it says the media player. Yeah, media player follow video. So again, it could play video here. So that's why it can play from the media player. You have your TRS connections or your mic. That's the headset that if we connect it. Headphones. So that's the same where you can get your volume if you're plugged into that, and you have your master volume. Now, each one of these channels also has the EQ and dynamics that you can go in here and modify as well. But again, in this scenario, we are going to be connecting a SQ5, excuse me, SQ5 mixer to this for our audio. All right. And then we do have camera controls as well too, for all 20 of them. Now, the beauty of this, the Multiview, I need to hook up something so we can actually see it, but the Multiview actually will give you 2 sets of outputs. So I'm probably going to hook up, I need to make 2 more SDI cables, but we're going to hook this up to a couple of monitors to show you what that looks like. But let's go here let's go to the menu. We have our same option, save startup, your connections, your preferences. Under preferences, you can enable MIDI control. Somebody's asked me to test that out. I don't have a MIDI controller to play around with that. Maybe one day we'll look into this stuff. You got your mappings, so you can link it to a Blackmagic camera, or you just call it generic. I don't think this actually changes anything. I have not noticed because I have regular cameras and Blackmagic ones, so I haven't noticed a difference. All right, that's under preferences. Let's go to the gear and let's look at everything. All right, so this is set at 1080p 50, and like I said, it can go up to 1080p 60. It does not do 4K, so I'm going to actually set the switcher and the Multiview to that. We're going ahead and update that. You do have some other options, full resolution or down convert. I'm not using that. Your SDI output formatting levels, keep that at normal. I've never really changed that. Fade to black, different. You can actually disable that. That's unique. Network discovery, enable switcher to be discovered on a network. I mean, it's grayed out, so I don't think this one does that, but that's cool. Media, this is where you can actually use the length of clips. The 400 available frames are shared between the 2. So you can put 400 frames for one clip or split it 200, or whichever way you want. So again, we'll play around with that. I do have my lower thirds that I use. I do that, so I want to see what that looks like. Audio, again, you can split all these channels. You got controls for your talkback, your mix minus, which is awesome because mix minus was not an option on any of the others. So if you're bringing in a computer or something like that, you can remove that from going out, just like you would have a talkback if you were talking to your musicians or your camera operators. They can send that audio and then remove that from any of your outs. At least I think. It's not showing me as an option, but we'll get back to that. Then you have your general like we're used to. You can do hard cuts. I'm going to come over here to my TRS, and it doesn't look like I have any options of hooking up stereo or microphone because I would assume it would always be a stereo. That is my assumption. I don't see an option. So this is just for splitting this. So it doesn't look like there's a option for changing it to stereo or mic, because I guess it's assuming that this is more of a production type of switcher that you're going to be hooking up sound from a mixer. That's my assumption. All right. Again, here's your multi-view. So like I said, you have two multi-views, and this is really sick. So you could have one multi-view that just shows all of your other cameras. So you got cameras 1 through 8 on here with your preview and what's live. And then you have your multi-view 2 that will give you another scene. So I can come in here and say, this is what's going out from the switcher number 2. So you could, in theory, and again, I need to have everything up and running before I can tell you this, but it looks like you can do 2 sets of the stuff. So that's really cool. Let's see what else we got. We got our sources. We can come in here and give it names. Our outputs, you can name that as well. Your media. So again, 4 media players. Your hyperdeck, where you can connect to it if you have something like that. And remote, and it looks like this one is not an option either. All right. You do have your macros, so you can make macros for everything that you want, like you normally would. Like I'd use mine for how the super source that you're using right now. I have a macro that changes it between when I'm doing my top-down view or this view. Now for your outputs, like I said, you can program every single one of these outputs to be something unique. So you still already have 2 multi-view outs already. So you could set this. It doesn't look like you can change any of these to a to another multi-view. You can do one as program preview, your super source clean out, all this other stuff like that, and you have a counter overlay. So you could just have just one screen that just shows your counter. So that's cool. So all 12 of these you can program. So it's just like the video hub, but it's built into the switcher. So the video hub, last time when I got that one, maybe 5 years ago, that was like $2,000. And on top of the ATEM Television Studio HD, that was $1,000. So this one is going for $1,695. So you have the functionality of being able to program 12 outs with more inputs than it would have cost for. Actually, let me take that back. I think the 12 by 12 was right at 16. So you're getting a video switcher and smart video hub controls for the same price. So really cool. And I think that is about it. So now let me move this over. Let's open up OBS because I do have this connected. I have all 3 of my cameras connected here, and I want to see what actually shows up. So let's go to live. Let's go to my video caption. Let's see what shows up. So this is the Black Magic, but I don't know which one this is. So that's me, what is happening right now. I don't see another option in here. So let's go to the device manager and let's see what shows up, because I do hear something when I connected to it. So it does show up. It shows up as a network adapter. That is interesting. And it's showing up here. So it looks like maybe I need to update my drivers to see that. Let's see. Let me bring this back over again. And let's see what version I'm on. I'm on 9.3. Let's see what the latest version is. So it's 9.3.3. So let me go ahead and download this and let's see if we do something different, because obviously it's showing like the drivers is seeing something, but it can't function with it. So let's go ahead, pause this. Let me uninstall these drivers, install the new ones, and see what we get from there. All righty, folks. So we finally got the latest version up on here. You can see 9.3.3, and that must have fixed it because now they're showing up as cameras, 2 of them, which I think is interesting. So we have no errors or nothing like that. So now if we go through here, let's get this up out of here. And now let's go back to OBS. Actually, you know what? I'm not going to do OBS. Let me go to Prism, because I had somebody else said they were having an issue with the latest version of Prism. So I want to show that this can be done on any program. But we need to see what actually comes in. Do we actually get stuff through the USB? So let me move this over here. So this is looking at the ATEM right now. Let's go ahead and change our capture device. And they still have not fixed the drop down, but I do have two black magics here as an option. And there we go. So now we're looking at the camera that is connected. So it does send web out over the USB. So you don't need to have a capture card, but just realize that you're only going to get that program out. So let me go ahead and close this and let's actually open up OBS so you can actually see the drop down. I wish there was a way that you could actually change the name, because again, I have three ATEMs here. So when I connect them over USB and I have two connected to this computer and my streaming, I can't differentiate which one is which. So as you can see here, I just have two black magics. I don't know which one is which. That one's this one. And then the second one is the one that is going to the ATEM 2ME Constellation. So really slick. Now, I did hook up my other camera here to try and I'm playing around with that to give me a different shot. Let me move my joystick back over here. And I also have the multi-view set up. So once this camera is up, I can show you what that looks like. All right, so we go over here to our second camera. As you can see, I have multi-view number one hooked up right there. So you see all of the inputs and everything like that. And you can see ME1 preview, ME2. So you see that's live. Now, if I come over a little bit, there is my second one. So you can see all the output right there. So let me go in here and I'm actually going to change that multi-view on the number two. So you can see it in real time that I am actually changing stuff. So I can come in here. So that's ME2 that I have right there. And it is a total of two DSKs and all this other fun stuff. All right, so pretty straightforward. Now I'm gonna switch this back, and I also have my Pro Presenter that has a deck link video out going to that as well too. So let me actually bring up Pro Presenter, and I'm going to feed something there as well too, and see if we can play around with the DSK and all this other stuff. All righty. So if I bring up a background, and there we go. So there's our computer feed from, well, excuse me, our Pro Presenter feed that is coming from my DeckLink mini HD mini monitor. So that's SDI out going directly into there as well too. So I can easily bring up like, let's see, we can bring up our shout out images there, and let's go ahead and go to number 3. And then we queue over to that. So that is, as you can see, that is what's live now. And again, I don't have the greatest of lighting right now, but let's actually go back to the desktop here. And let me move this to another screen so y'all can see. And this is the output. So if I go ahead and use the same software control, and this is, I guess, the advantage of having multiple screens. I don't know why it's looking down at the floor, but anyway, if I go ahead and switch, as you can see, I am controlling this from the switch. Now, it does have two sets of outputs. So it's two main outputs. So you're seeing right now program number one. I'm wondering how you can control what is coming out over the USB. So it doesn't really tell me any of those. So preferences doesn't show it. because obviously we have two main outputs. So it looks like it's only showing one. I wonder how you can actually output that, because it doesn't, for me just going through here, I don't see an option to show that. I mean, we have our sources, we have our outputs. So it doesn't really give me an option of which is which. So I don't know. That's something I'm gonna have to play around with, but it looks like the main output that comes out over USB is only the program out from the first ME switcher, not the second one. Um, that's interesting. I really wonder how that was, if there's ever going to be an option to control which one is which. Because in that scenario, I mean, you could have the USB out go for your primary program, but the way this is, you can have something else shown with your second switch going out. So, like again, if I go back here, see, I have that's program out number one, and now let me go back to the multi-view on input number two, and I'll set that up as well too. So, right now, we're looking at program out is three, that's on that multi-view. But if I go to the other multi-view, you see I'm looking at the camera. So it's like you have two switches built in. So you can show two completely different things. So you got to think you could have this. Now, this does work great if you have a streaming system. Like you can hook one of these up to USB, the other one to like a web presenter or a computer with a capture card, and you can have literally two switchers. So one can be going into the sanctuary, streaming to one platform or streaming to another. One that's streaming in-house that doesn't show the graphics, the other one that actually is using graphics. So it does show the power, but it looks like you only have one USB out, so you can't dictate which one is actually going to the web out. That's something to be mindful of if you are looking at getting something like this. Um, so let me go ahead and switch one of the outputs. I want to switch it to output number two. And well, actually, no, output number one. I'm gonna go ahead and change this to our counter overlay, right? So now if we go back to our counter, so we can count down to a time, which is kind of cool. Let's set our time. So we could do a clock. And what if I don't want to do 24-hour? Doesn't look like it gives me an option to do that. But I can count down to a countdown time. So let's do 1740. All right. So we'll go ahead and start that, and we do also have some other settings. No, that's the total time. See, I was thinking it was going to let me count down to a time. So this is just actually a number. So this would be more like, let's reset that. Are you going to let me erase it? Okay. So that's going to be more like, let's do 10 minutes. All right. So we have our countdown now. Now I'm going to change output number one to be nothing but the overlay. So now let's go ahead and switch my output behind me to one of those outputs. All right, so we got it switched, and it's very interesting, the results. Let me show you. So there is our overlay, but it's like it's actually overlaid over top of whatever we have live. So if I switch back to this camera, as you can see, hopefully you can see right there. See, it's putting the countdown right there. So, I mean, I guess that makes sense. See, in my mind, I was thinking it was going to be nothing but just the overlay, like nothing but the clock. So, I mean, I guess this makes sense. So if you have this like on the back wall or something like that, and you want to show a time, so let me actually change this to the time of day. So there we go. I really wish I could change this. See, it says display on output one. I really wish I could change this to 12 hour. Again, I mean, I'm military, so I mean, it doesn't bother me, but I'm just wondering if you were doing this like at a ministry, some people might not like that. So I don't see where other options that could be. So I'm gonna have to play around with that a little bit more. I don't see anything natively here that could make that change, but you never know. It could be something else that I see. So one of the things that I'll say that's jumping out to me is not being able to change. At least I'm not able to find a way to change what is actually coming out of the USB out. That looks like that's ME1 program only, not ME2. The program out. All of the rest, regular other functionality is fine. If you're using the counter overlay, which is cool, I wish there was a way that you can actually change it from just 24-hour to 12-hour. Um, Besides that, I mean, I don't, I mean, I do have a mixer to hook up to it. I just don't want to drag this whole thing over to hook mine up to it. But again, I think one of the issues with this, you're going to have to, well, no matter what, you're going to have to pair this with a computer that either you can bring in the USB to send the video out to what you're live streaming to. So just let me think through this. ME1 can be the program of what you're sending to your live stream, but ME2 could be inside the house. So they could show different things. So it could work around that way. Or you have both of your outputs that you have in any of those addressable outputs of the 12. You can have those go to whatever, and you can hook it up to a capture card inside a computer or a web presenter, kind of like what I have. And you can stream to different locations using the USB. Because again, I mean, the USB out, that can go to Zoom and any other program like that. That works as well too. Same functionality, just you definitely going to need an extra screen to see both of the multi-views, which makes me think I need to get another screen for this install, so they can see both of the multi-views. But again, really cool. You never know. I might actually, if I can get my other camera to show the Famaco. No, you actually were seeing a Famaco. No, the Famaco was not going into the was not showing in the web presenter. I think that's because of the settings that I have on the camera. But um, either way, no, that my, I got other stuff to work on. But anyway, I think this is pretty cool. This is a. I was actually really thinking about getting one of these a while ago. But I was like, it was one of those things like, hey, I wanted to get my hands on it to play around with it and test it out and see what is working. But I'm glad I didn't didn't pay for it, because now I have a situation where a ministry is actually using it. So it's really cool. I will let you know when we actually bring you along when we actually install it, which is going to be next week or the week after that, first week in April. And I think that's about it. But let me know if you have any other questions. We're going to still have it in our possession for about a week and a half to 2 weeks before we actually have to install it. And we're going to have those 12 outputs. We had 8 TVs that is going to, including 2 projectors and 2 outputs that are going to computers. So that's a total of 12. 8 televisions with 2 projectors, 10, and then we have another 2 that most likely are going to go into a streaming computer or something like that. So we're going to be using all the outputs as well. So really excited about this. Again, the ATEM 2 ME Constellation HD. Like I said, let me know if you have any questions. Link is down below if you're interested in getting one. And I think that's about it. But like I said, we're going to be holding on to it for a while, so let me know. You never know. I might even set it up to see if I can do my live stream tomorrow with it. You never know. Anyway, let me know if you have any questions, and that's about it. So if you like this type of content, appreciate a like, consider subscribing, hit that bell. That way you get notified when we come out with other videos to help modernize your media ministry. Thanks for watching, folks. This is AJ. Catch you on the next video. Later.